This week on Curiosity Stream.
What we have here are the bones of a brand new species of dinosaur.
Paleontologists work to crack a 73-million-year-old cold case on the new series Dino Hunt. Plus, see the ancient world as the ancients saw it.
That was the building where democracy was invented.
View the greatest cities in history brought back to life on Megapolis, the ancient world revealed. Watch these titles and more on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are just $20. Visit curiositystream.com now.
Up to 30% of U.S. military members and veterans are battling PTSD, even those who weren't injured or in combat. If you're one of the many, you should know that you don't have to suffer. Treatment for PTSD is available. If you suffer from PTSD-related depression and anxiety, you're not alone. There are so many veterans and current enlisted just like you. You don't have to suffer. Find the help and resources you need and deserve at connectingvets.com.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dirt. Want to thank you for taking some time out to listen to the podcast of our show, brought to you by Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952.
In this wide world of sports, some stories can slip through the cracks.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules.
This is the Daily Ticker, where Dirt and Sprague visit the insiders that are covering the stories you've heard about, and some you haven't.
How'd you do that? Actually, I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
The Daily Ticker with Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, Daily Ticker time here on The Fan, brought to you by us. It's just brought to you by us. And Christian Capel covers the Huskies for The Athletic. He's one of the best beat writers in the conference. He's got some good stuff up. There's a mailbag that he put up about, just Jimmy Lake and Chris Peterson and all that. So I'd highly advise, go check that out at The Athletic and follow Christian on Twitter. Christian, good morning. Thank you for hopping on, man. I always appreciate the time. I know it's super early. We'll start. The academic prowess of Washington does not concern themselves with the recruiting rival of one Oregon. Now, they play this week, which makes the game even better. What was your first takeaway when you saw or heard that quote? When Jimmy Lake said they're not a rival to Oregon in recruiting because of academic prowess, what was your initial takeaway or thought?
Well, I think the very most charitable read on that, if you're trying to give Jimmy Lake as much benefit of the doubt as possible, is that it's rivalry week, and maybe he's trying to just tweak Oregon a little bit. And I think that, it's true that in terms of branding and messaging and the way that Washington wants to portray itself to recruits, I think it does see itself kind of in the same tier, yes, from an academic perspective as some of the schools that Jimmy Lake named, but to act in any way as if the University of Washington isn't or shouldn't be going up against Oregon for recruits, it's just not factual. It's just not reality. I did a story about a year ago looking at where every prospect who had a Washington offer who didn't sign with Washington ended up going to school, and more of them signed with Oregon than any other school. It's Oregon and USC. Right now, if you're the University of Washington and you want to win conference championships and compete to go to the playoff and all those sorts of things, you are competing with Oregon and USC for the best recruits on the West Coast, and there's really no two ways around that. So, maybe he's just trying to take a dig at Oregon because it's Oregon week and it's a rivalry and everything. But I found that to be a very curious thing to say.
It's been a disappointing year, obviously, for the Huskies losing to Montana. They have not had a great year, but it's also been a little bit of a rough 12 months from a recruiting standpoint, not getting JT Tuimoloau, not having a shot with G. Scott Jr., not getting Emeka Egbuka, and now Josh Connerly, the number 8 player in the country, the number 1 offensive tackle. For a long time, it looked like he was a lay-in to choose the Huskies. Now it might be Michigan. Is Jimmy Lake's hot seat twofold? Is it both on-field results and recruiting, or do you think it's kind of a lump sum? Is there a way that he could maybe struggle on the football field and do great at recruiting, or do great at recruiting and struggle on the football field where they kind of cancel each other out, or is he kind of double barrels here?
I think the recruiting concerns would maybe accelerate the hot seat talk if they did finish this season, sub 500 or right at 6-6 or something like that. I mean, with the way they started, it's gotten to the point now where if he does get them to 6-6, that would actually be considered a pretty impressive turnaround, considering they started 2-4. But I don't know that the AD, that the administration is like particularly sweating the recruiting rankings themselves. And I know that, it's the 2021 class and 2022. It's a little bit weird because they've had such small graduating classes, and then the class size is going to be, I think they signed 15 guys last year, and it might be even less than that this year. And so I think it's a lot more about on-field results and eye test, and is this a team that looks like it's getting better? I think the number one concern obviously is the offense, and I don't think they've shown any legitimate improvement on that side of the ball. So, what's the plan there? Is that a group that you see improvement from the last few weeks? And, do staff changes need to happen one way or the other, at least to the assistant staff, which I think they probably crossed that point already. So, I think if you go 4-8 or 5-7 or something, and your recruiting class again lags behind a lot of your main competitors, that definitely could be a factor that adds to it. I think they're a lot more focused though on the wins and losses at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christian Capel is the beat writer for The Athletic, covering the Washington Huskies. Big week, obviously, with Oregon heading to Seattle. Oregon winning Pac-12 titles. Washington in a little bit of a struggle here. Would you say that his job is on the line? Like, he has to make a bowl to save his job? There might be staff changes, but is it as simple as saying that, Christian, that if they don't go to a bowl, they could be looking to make wholesale changes with the administration up there? Or do you think that if Jimmy Lake can get this team to a bowl, he saves his job?
I don't think it's that cut and dried. Put it this way, if they go to a bowl, I don't see any way he's not back next year. But if they do finish 5-7, if they only win one more game, if they lose out, I don't know that necessarily means they're absolutely going to fire him. This is still his second season and not even his second full season. And obviously he was a first-time head coach in a pandemic. And I think he'd be given the opportunity, just my read on it is he would be given the opportunity to make whatever those staff changes might be. I think a lot of people expect a change at offensive coordinator at this point. And at least be given the opportunity to kind of prove that he can adapt and adjust and correct whatever mistakes he might have made with his initial vision, especially for the offense. Again, I think it's about how do they look, and do you kind of see signs of life, and do you see improvement? Last week I think was really big for him and for the program. And Stanford's not the Stanford of old under David Shaw. That this is not a dominant Stanford team, and obviously Washington was able to exploit some of their weaknesses, and still didn't look great doing it. Only scored 20 points, only scored one touchdown, and didn't score that touchdown until the very end of the game. So it still revealed a lot of Washington's flaws too. But to go down to Stanford, get a road win, pull even at 500, have a chance to actually pull into a tie for first place if they're somehow able to beat Oregon, which is kind of nuts and reflective of just kind of how weird the Pac-12 is this season. So there's still an opportunity for him to prove that he deserves more time. I don't know that it comes down purely to does he make a bowl game or not. I think that it's just about, hey, how are they playing? How do they look? Are they getting better? Are the guys still playing hard for him? And then what does that all look like after 12 games?
Christian, get you out of here with this, man. What do you think about the matchup? Like, I'm sure Mario is going to be asked about this quote today at some point, and knowing Mario a little bit, I'd imagine there is going to be no response to this. He is one of those, I'm going to let my team do the talking on Saturday for me, and then I'll celebrate in rightful fashion. What do you think about the matchup, though, just where these two teams are, Oregon coming up there? This is a huge rivalry game, so you don't want to completely dismiss it. They're in two different spots, but what do you think about how they just match up in general?
Yeah, it's not a good matchup for Washington. I think the one way to beat Oregon is to prove that you can throw the ball and move it downfield and try to get it done that way. And that's not something that the Huskies have been able to do this year. I think they have the talent at receiver to get that done. They haven't protected well at all up front, and Dylan Morris obviously has struggled through 8 games, and they're coming off the 2 games where through the first 3 quarters they just could not get anything at all done through the air. So Oregon's pretty tough against the run. Washington literally just ran the ball well for like the first time this season against Stanford. Still a lot of questions about whether they can do that consistently. And they stopped the run finally against a Stanford team that does not run the ball very well. So that was some progress, but Oregon is they're so physical up front. They got so many different weapons that they can hit you with, and a quarterback that's mobile too. So I think they're going to have a really hard time limiting Oregon's running game and running the ball themselves. And so hey, maybe they did figure something out against Stanford, and that O-line is kind of gelling together a little bit better, and figuring out what their real groove, just run plays are that they feel really good about, and maybe that's an area where they take another step forward. But I think this is an Oregon team that's built to really expose Washington's weaknesses.
I'll be interested to see the reaction from the fan base if Oregon goes in there and thumps them. Christian Capel does a great job covering the Huskies for The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter. Check out his work. He's got some really good pieces up right now at The Athletic. Christian, we always appreciate the time, my man. Thank you so much for hopping on this morning. We'll have to catch up with you soon, and enjoy that football game on Saturday.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Hi, I'm John Favreau, host of Crooked Media's new weekly series, Offline with John Favreau. If you feel like the internet is breaking our brains, but you still can't put the phone down, this show might help. Each week, I'll be talking to people like Monica Lewinsky, Megan Rapinoe, Peter Hamby, and DeRay McKesson about all the ways our extremely online existence is shaping politics, media, entertainment, sports, business, and more. New episodes of Offline with John Favreau drop every Sunday on the Pod Save America feed. Listen on Odyssey or wherever you get your podcasts.
In 1987, a former prosecutor named Margaret Kuhn took her dog for a walk in one of Louisiana's safest and most affluent parishes. The next morning, she was found dead on the side of the road. 34 years later, the crime remains unsolved.
No one is safe.
Listen to Gone South, Season 1, Who Killed Margaret Kuhn? A documentary podcast from C13 Originals. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Man, there are a lot of podcasts out there.
Definitely. I mean, there's 3 million shows, 50 million episodes, and more every day.
I mean, who has the time to figure out which ones are the best podcasts?
We do. That's who. What's up, guys? I am Alicia Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt.
And we are your hosts of Pod Sauce, a podcast discovery show.
Look at us as your podcast concierge.
We do all the work for you. We listen to the shows, review them,
pick the best episodes, and interview the hosts.
Pod Sauce. Let us help you find your next binge. Tell them where to go, Dax.
Go to podsauce.com.